Alright, for the last example, we have two angles that this time are not going to give me unit circle values. Now, cosine of an angle equaling 1/2, that is a unit circle value, but sine of an angle equaling 1/3 does not come from the unit circle. So anytime that you have two angles, that does not mean that it's not solvable. All it means is that you have to draw your own triangle. So unit circle triangles are already drawn for you. This time we just have to draw our own. So this piece of information is all dealing with angle A, or alpha. So we know that the angle is between -π/2 and 0. Well, if we think about the unit circle, -π/2 falls right here, and 0 falls here. So all that's telling me is that it is in the fourth quadrant. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my angle. I'm going to draw a triangle. We know that this is alpha, and I would label it cosine of the angle is equal to 1/2. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So I've got my triangle labeled. Then the second piece of your information is dealing with my second angle. So we know that it is between 0 and π/2. So what that's telling me is it's in the first quadrant. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a triangle in the first quadrant. And here's my angle. Sine of my angle, which is opposite over hypotenuse, is 1/3. Now, I don't know if we're going to need the other two sides, so we're just going to leave it off until we actually get there. What we want to actually find from this problem is cosine of A plus B and cosine of A minus B. So we'll start with cosine A plus B. So what we're going to need is cosine of my first times cosine of my second minus sine of my first times sine of my second. So with this formula, I'm going to need my other two legs of the triangle. So now Pythagorean theorem, 2 squared is 4, 4 minus 1 gives me 3, radical 3, but we know it's negative because we went down. Here we've got 3 squared is 9, minus 1 squared, which is 1, 9 minus 1 gives me 8, so radical 8, or 2 radical 2. So now we can plug them in. Cosine of A, here's A. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so 1/2 times cosine of B, so adjacent is 2 radical 2 over hypotenuse of 3. Then we'll subtract off sine of A, so go back to A, sine is opposite, negative radical 3 over hypotenuse of 2 times sine of B, opposite over hypotenuse. So now we can go through and simplify. 1 times 2 radical 2 gives me 2 radical 2 over 6 minus, and then we have a negative radical 3 over 6. So really the only thing I can do to simplify this is just say 2 radical 2 plus radical 3 over 6. Now if we want to go through and do cosine of A minus B, really the only thing that's going to change is this sign right here is going to become a positive. So I know that this value is going to stay true, so we'll have 2 radical 2 over 6 plus negative radical 3 over 6. So my final answer would be 2 radical 2 minus radical 3 over 6.